Okay, so it is 9:05, so we're gonna get started, but you can come in if you want. Hi. Good morning to you all. My name is Claire Erickson, and I recently graduated with my master's in public health from UND, and I currently work as a qualitative researcher for Memory Keepers Medical Discovery Team at the University of Minnesota Duluth. We're working on culturally responsive capacity building for dementia care in rural and tribal areas in Minnesota, Canada, and Wisconsin. And this session is called To Welcome Healing, to welcome Indigenous patients, students, providers, and worldview in clinical and academic spaces. We've talked a lot about recruitment this week, and in order to retain, we really need to make sure that our workplace culture is supportive of all those we recruit. So we have some really great recruiting programs in North Dakota, such as InMed and RAIN. And we have three fantastic students here with us today to hear their perspectives on how we can make our clinic settings more welcoming. Judge was not able to join us today, but his article is in many of the handouts in the back. Feel free to take any and all of those handouts. Before we get started, I would just like to thank and honor Waylon, Carlin, and Megan for coming and their willingness to share and drive to Bismarck. And secondly, I would like to also thank Dr. Donna Grandboys, who without whom this session really wouldn't have happened. This kind of came out of an assignment I had for her class. And finally, I would like to honor and acknowledge this land in Bismarck we are on is the traditional home of Bunoita Hidatsa Samish and the Lakota and Dakota Oceti Chippewa. So as we learn and grow today, I encourage you to reflect on how we can implement some of these students' worldviews and advice into not only our practice, but our lifestyle. And like I said, there's lots of resources in the handout, and I will give my contact at the end. So without further ado, I will let the students introduce themselves. And I will stop talking. All right, Tarvin.
Hello everyone, my name is Carly Oklahoma. I come from the Kiowa Tribe of Oklahoma in Oneida, Haudenosaunee, Ontario. The years and before there just finished our health exams, and so I am a fourth-year medical student at UND. That's okay.
Bihana Nakshi Kodafi, Dashka Awaka, which actually will the Koro Machiaki.
Chokma, Chicxaya, Rome, Minnesota Corn, Chickasaw Nation, Cherokee, and Choctaw. I was born in Oklahoma. I live currently in Washington State, and I'm also from Oklahoma, so we'll be here.
Okay, so our first question today, we'll open up for audience questions at 9:40. But our first question is, why did you choose to go into health and medicine?
I'll start. So thank you to, I see some familiar faces in the audience, some RAIN members here. Big thank you to you guys. I'm very fortunate my mother went through the program. She graduated as a nurse practitioner, worked for the IHS, our community for many years, both in Standing Rock and up in the Turtle Mountains. And I got to spend a lot of time with her in our clinics, and I was really exposed to healthcare and seeing all the awesome stuff that nurses do, that practitioners do, that everyone does to take care of our community and help out people. And that's what really drew my interest to go into the same field. As far as medicine specifically, just growing up in our communities, seeing a lot of the different needs, people complain about, oh man, we don't have help here, we don't have help there. I just wanted to be one of those people who could do my best to address those issues on the spot. There's a lot of different things that need help in our communities for sure. we don't have to talk about any of that today. We'll just talk about how, there's a lot of help, and just thank you to everyone that's going through these things to help out people where you are.
I kind of have a similar story. I have family in healthcare as well, so I was exposed to it from an early age. But I told my parents when I was 5 years old that I wanted to be a baby doctor. And they were like, oh, you want to take care of kids? I was like, no, I want to pull them out. And so I've had this goal since I was 5 years old, and it's kind of surreal that it's coming real. But I've always known that I wanted to take care of moms and women's healthcare and kind of stuff like that.
I would say my experience, I didn't have anybody in healthcare in my family. I think my first exposure was from TV. You see doctors on TV, and from an early age, I had told my parents that I wanted to become a doctor. And then I had met my first physician when I was an undergrad, and she really mentored me and showed me kind of the roads and what to do, where to go, and so. And just learning more about the needs and kind of what Leon said, the needs within our communities and the want to go back. And that kind of what drove me to medical school.
Wonderful. Our second question is how is health and healing defined in your culture, and does this align or differ from Western practices?
Sure. So I'm not an expert in anything at all. Just to start off with saying that, and a lot of things I know have been taught to me by a lot of great teachers, a lot of people I hang out with, learn from, spend my time with. But to my people, generally, not specifically to one group or another, so I'm kind of split up. My family, we're Salaga, my dad comes from Anishinaabe people, my mother, we're Dakota. We have a lot of different ties to a lot of different nations, which I think helps me. But health and healing in general is just doing things that take care of you, and understanding our people's ways, the different areas of health that we acknowledge: physical, mental, spiritual, emotional, making sure that you're okay. And I would say that there are a lot of parts of medicine that are of Western medicine that are similar to some of the things that we live and think about, and the way that we take care of ourselves, for sure. And you look at some of the new things, the biopsychosocial model that they're talking about, where you're addressing more than one component of your health to take care of people, rather than separating things out into physical, we'll see psychiatrists kind of thing, addressing all different areas. So they're very different, but they complement one another, especially when it comes to understanding disease. I would say for sure.
Yeah, kind of along similar lines, I think there is a lot of overlap in traditional medicine. There are things that look at eczema or blood pressure, and there are things that address that, but then also looking at just the healing in conversation, healing talking to friends and families, and that's, I think, kind of what you're saying, the biopsychosocial part is becoming a part of Western medicine, but it's not quite there yet. And I think we're moving in the right direction, just in the holistic approach that we're taking. And slowly but surely they're kind of converging, we hope. But overall, I think there is still some leeway, and also in our roles, there's going to be a question coming up later, but in our roles of kind of bridging that gap of explaining to your colleagues of the traditional medicine man and why that even though maybe he quit school in high school or middle school, why he's done 20 years of training, and how we shouldn't rank him as low educational status and things like that, because there's so much wisdom outside of the Western traditional track that we're all taking.
It's kind of interesting because I echo a lot of the things that I'm sure you'll recognize. We have very similar things, and so I'm just trying to find something to make me mad. I'm really grateful to be alongside these two because they're very knowledgeable. And going through medical school is interesting because we talked about like Western and the biophysical, and really interesting because growing up when